Sometimes when I talk about Christianity being harmful, I'll get comments like, Christianity is not harmful. Jesus didn't do anything wrong. It's just Christians that are the problem. Christians who are people who call themselves Christians, who misinterpret the scripture, misinterpret the Bible, that don't act like Jesus, etc. So, do I think that Christianity is inherently harmful? That's a hard question to answer. I think that Jesus had some good teachings, but I also think that he said some things that are a little iffy. So when I say that Christianity causes harm, when you think about somebody saying, I'm the Son of God, I am the way to heaven, there is no way to get to heaven except through me. Thanks, truck. There's no way to get to heaven except through me. The way that I look at it, that is inherently divisive because people are either going to believe that or not. So that teaching that he is the Son of God, the fact that he says that, there are going to be people who agree with that, and there are going to be people who do not agree with that. And the results of those beliefs can have a very negative effect on people. I've seen it rip families apart, where people disown their children because they don't have the same beliefs that they do. They don't believe that Jesus was the Son of God. Therefore, there's something wrong with them. And hey, you're not part of the family anymore. Or you can't come to this function. Or you need to go to church with us, even though you don't believe. Things like that. We see a rise in the Christian nationalist movement of people who want this to be a Christian nation, people who think that it is a Christian nation, and they want the laws to change to reflect that, or they want, if you don't believe, then just leave. If you don't think that Jesus is the Son of God, what are you doing here? This is a Christian nation. Go somewhere else. If you hate it here so much, just go to another country. That is harmful. How about spare the rod, spoil the child? You ever heard of that one? That teaching promotes child abuse, at least to an extent. People use that as justification to hit their children. There are a lot of Christians who are actively discouraged by pastors, by church members, by family members, actively discouraged to leave their marriage. Hey, stay in your marriage. You made a covenant before God. You should not have a divorce. So, what does that promote? If you're in an abusive relationship, it promotes that abuse. Again, we're seeing a theme here, right? Of Christianity being a-okay with abuse. What about talking to God and thinking that he talks back to you? There's one that can be harmful, I think. I have seen people who have sold everything that they have to move to Africa because they felt like that's what God wanted them to do. They thought that they were supposed to go there and start this mission, and ended up losing everything that they had and coming back to nothing. That kind of stuff happens. We had a president of the United States, George W. Bush, who was praying before going to war, talking to God, thinking that God was talking back to him, advising him on whether or not we should bomb this country. And we ended up in a war that we probably shouldn't have ever been in. So yeah, I think maybe it's too much of a generalization, too much of a broad sweeping statement to say Christianity is harmful. But I think that it definitely can be harmful in a lot of ways. I think it promotes some harmful ideologies, AKA, we love you, but we don't approve of your lifestyle. Ever heard that one? Directed at the LGBTQ community. How many relationships do you think that has ruined? How much separation do you think that has caused between parents and their children? Or even people being ostracized at work or in other settings because they, quote unquote, live a sinful lifestyle. It's not Jesus' fault, man. It's religion. Religion, man. It's men. It's people who corrupted what Jesus said. First of all, do we really know what Jesus said? Because the Gospels were written decades after Jesus died. So how accurate are those? Was Jesus even a real person? I think he probably was in some capacity, but it doesn't mean that he was the Son of God. And also, Jesus said stuff like, hate your mother and father. Was it a metaphor? Was it a parable? Was he just trying to use some symbolism there? Or did he mean, I'm this much more important than your family? I think that's what a lot of people take from that. Let me know down below if you agree. Do you think that Christianity is harmful? Do you think that that's too broad of a generalization? Or do you think it's not?